Today on The Georgette Miller Show.
Hi, I'm Georgette Miller. Now you're probably sitting there wondering, why am I doing this show? The reason I'm doing this show is simply this. I'm tired of the foolishness. I really am. I'm tired of the misinformation and the foolishness that is within our community and within our society about what you do with debt, how you manage debt, the reason you shouldn't have any at all, and how you live your life. How do you set up a plan to have a fresh financial future or a positive financial future? Okay, let me tell you a little bit about me. Came to this country in 1991, immigrated from Jamaica, worked full-time. I went to school full-time in New York, got my undergrad, went to South Jersey, got my law degree, and then went to a university in Philadelphia, Temple University, and I got my LLM in taxation there. I worked for some of the largest retail REITs in the country. I've worked for some of the largest law firms in the country. And you get to a point in your life when you say, you know what, I've had enough. I decided I had enough in about 2008 and went and opened my own practice. And what we do in our practice is basically people come into our office. They're on the edge of what I call financial Armageddon. And I come up with a solution. I say to them, look, some things you can't keep. Some things you can't keep, and the reason you can't keep it is because you don't have enough money to keep it. But let's come up with a plan so that you can move on with your life. Let's come up with a plan so that you're not walking around with all this debt. This is insane. GM filed bankruptcy 2 years ago, and I think 2 months ago they said they're back making record profits. Bankruptcy is a fresh start under the law. Now, I know you're sitting out there and you're saying, you're like my clients walking in, you have all this crushing debt. You have unsecured debt, you have payday loans, you have people garnishing your check, you have people coming into your bank account taking your money. You have options. And the option is right there in front of you. It's the bankruptcy code. The bankruptcy code says, look, like GM, you just have enough money to pay your rent. You just have enough money to pay your mortgage, put food on your table, hopefully pay your car note, put gas in your car, get to work and come back. But you ain't got nothing else. That's it. The bankruptcy code says as long as you meet certain requirements, you get that break. As long as you meet certain requirements, we're going to take all the payday loans. We're going to take all the credit card debt. We're going to take all this unsecured debt off of you. It also says you have the opportunity to restructure your secured debt. So, say for instance, you have a house. The house has 2 mortgages on it. It has an $80,000 mortgage, and then on top of that, it has a $20,000 mortgage. But you went and you got an appraisal or you got some real estate broker to say, if I was to sell this house, how much would I get for it? And the broker comes back and say, all you're going to get for it is $70,000. So the house is worth less than your first mortgage, $80,000. You have the opportunity to strip the second. And that's what the bankruptcy code does for you. It strips away all of your unsecured debt, everything other than student loans, domestic support obligations, and certain taxes. And it also gives you an opportunity to restructure the secured loans so that you come up with a plan that you can have a better financial future. It gives you the break that you're looking for. Okay, now we're going to meet Ruth Mims, one of my clients. Ruth came into our office unable to sleep, having her phones blow up 24 hours a day, couldn't find a break. All she needed was a break. She had siblings or family members that were ill. She had found herself off from work for a week or two, maybe as much as a month. And she just felt herself keep getting behind. She just felt herself keep coming into this hole, and she couldn't find a way out. She would turn around and ask everybody else. Everybody would send her in every different direction, but she couldn't find a way out of this hole. Now, this is someone who gets up every day and goes to work, gets up every day and does the right thing. But because of the circumstances of life, which happens, she found herself in this hole and couldn't find a way out. Now, when she comes into my office, she's a bit skeptical. I said to her, Ruth, listen, we can get you out. And if you just follow me and walk with me and do as I say, within 6 months, you will find yourself on the way to a better financial future. Now, clients come in skeptical, but believe me, by the time they leave our offices, they're singing a completely different tune. And so you're going to hear Ruth's story right now.
My bills and things were overwhelming. They kind of got out of hand. You know, I have a mother who is, she's a heart patient, and she's not well, you know. That laid a lot of weight on my brains and my shoulders. My job laid a lot of weight and weight on my shoulders and whatnot. With the time, you know, having to take off here and there and stuff. So my bills, they kind of accumulated. I was trying to pay all of them, and in paying all of them, I couldn't keep up because I was accumulating late fees. And those late fees was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Then I had to take a chunk out of time, you know, some time out. Like I think it was maybe like 3 weeks to a month out from work. So that set me a whole month behind, which set me another whole set of late fees behind and whatnot. And I make enough to handle my bare necessities and have a little bit left over to, you know, have a fun time with. But if you screw up, you know, a week or 2 or a month, you're going to be caught out there. And it was like this downhill tunnel to destruction or something, you know. I tried to rectify my problem myself. However, I was just being, the people that I was talking to, I was just being turned around in circles and circles. Phone calls that I could not make from 9 to 5 or from 7 to 3, which was the time that I spent at work. Bill collectors calling you and threatening you and foreclosures and woo, you're about to lose a home. This is something, I mean, look, I've been here for 5 years and they talking about foreclosure. And it's just getting worse. I just keep getting these things, and I'm tired of reading. All I see is black and white. I'm tired of it. As a matter of fact, a few of them called my my work, you know, which was humiliating. You know, I don't even know how they got the phone call through, and how they would even call me for those calls. But like I said, I was just getting calls every day, all day, up until 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night during the weekday, and from 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning on the weekends until 7 and 8 o'clock p.m. on the weekends at night. That was horrible, you know. And I would call them and I'd tell them, oh, well, I'm doing the best I can. It was very heavy. It was very stressful because I was losing it. I really was. And you just need a break and you need some time to catch up. And a day or a week or a month is not going to happen. That stuff has to be wiped away. Everybody needs a breather. If you're weak, you're just going to get weaker and weaker. You need a chance to get strong. You need some time. I needed some time. I needed relief. Can't think, can't do. You can't work. You're spending time off from work. You know, you're home. I was home on the sofa. I was up all night long, but then I saw that commercial. I was like, okay, please, can you handle that for me? And like they did, you know. I don't know that anybody else will work, but it's working for me.
All right, guys, I've seen this situation over and over and over again. We file hundreds of cases like this in our office every year. And when we get back, I'll show you how I fixed it. This is not the end of the world. Your break is on the way.
Questions you want answered? Connect with Georgette on Facebook.
Okay, welcome back. Now let's have this conversation. When my clients come into my office, I call it my come to Jesus moment. Credit cards are not your friend. Much like Ruth, credit card is the ability to walk into someone's store and buy something you can't quite afford. So they lend you the money and you pay them back at interest. We all need to walk into the store at this point in time and simply buy what it is you can afford. Listen, when cash is king, when you use your own money, you never find yourself in these situations. I have had too many clients walking into my office where they hit a bump in the road. You know, life happens, and they have to find themselves paying Mary, Jose, Joseph, and the 12 disciples minimum payments to keep their credit cards afloat. And in the meantime, they're eating cat food and their rent's going behind. They can't live their lives. People, if you feel you must have a card, I have one card that you must have. Or if you feel you must have, you should have. It's a green American Express. Why? When you charge anything on that green American Express, know that 30 days later, you have to pay that card in full, or your privileges will be cut. So if you feel you must have a card, that's the only card you should have in your wallet. Now, some people say, Ms. Miller, what about my FICO score? The Fair Isaacs Company. Again, if you have a high FICO score, what does that give you? That gives you the ability to do what? To walk into someone's store and borrow. I don't believe in borrowing, not even for a car. Why? $500 a month over 5 years is a total of $30,000. And then at the end of the 5 years, what has happened? The car has depreciated and it's now worth $7,000. So you spent $30,000 on a $7,000 asset. So you have robbed yourselves out of $23,000 in principal. Walk into the store, my people, and buy your stuff cash. Now, debt consolidation companies. Debt consolidation companies are these companies where they amass all of your credit card bills and all of your unsecured debts, and you pay it over time. My question to you is, why pay if you don't have to? Why pay if you have the legal right to pay nothing?
Follow Georgette on Twitter and have your questions answered.
I met with Georgette. She was there just like she said she would be there for me when we went to court, you know, and she just made me rest assured because I was really uncomfortable with filing bankruptcy. It's like, oh, nobody's going to deal with me. Oh, I can't do this and that, but I need this time to build it back up. If you're weak, you're just gonna get weaker and weaker. You need a chance to get strong. You need some time. I needed some time. I needed relief. I'm not getting all those phone calls. You know, I can go to work and not worry about a whole lot of phone calls. I can do a little bit more overtime, and I can take care of my mother, and I can rest. I sleep a little bit more than 3 or 4 hours. I saw how I got there. And it was, like I said, I had credit cards and things that was really not even necessary. $100, who needs a $300 credit card? Please, no. So, and I'm so glad that she put me in a position where she like cut up all them cards, get rid of them. We're done with them. I don't ever need that again. You know, and why? And then the interest on them. She put me in a position where I'm learning what interest is. I'm learning what escrow is. I'm learning what principal is. I have to, but I got time to now.
Visit GeorgetteMillerLaw.com to learn more about how Georgette and her team can help you. You can even tell us about your case.
Welcome back. Okay, this is my segment that I like to call Let's Demystify the Foolishness, and we'll have it every week. And here I'm going to try and answer questions that I receive on my Twitter page and questions that I get on my Facebook page. And I'm sure it's the same kind of questions you guys have out there. So let's get right into it. The first question was, should I be looking to get my son a credit card before he goes off to college, just to be safe? My answer to that is to be safe for what? Again, credit is merely the ability to walk into a store and buy something you can't quite afford. What you want to be safe with is having a cash account that you set aside. You want to put $50 in that account every time you get paid for little Johnny or little Jane, so that when they get into trouble, you have the cash there to send to them. And what you need to understand is when they go off to college, they get the credit card applications right in their textbooks. It's like a way to get you right on that treadmill. No, I never advise anyone to get anyone a credit card, never mind a young child, because in my mind, they're still children going off to college with credit cards. Question that I have from Facebook is, I can't afford to put away money from each paycheck. What am I doing wrong, or am I doing something wrong? Yes, you are. How do you get ahead in this life? I asked someone who is very wealthy, who will remain nameless. I asked him a long time ago, how do you get ahead? How do you become wealthy? And his answer was so simple, it was almost ridiculous. He said, Georgette, you live below your means always, and you save and you invest the difference. So if you have a budget and you getting $800 every 2 weeks when you come home, if you're living on $850, $900, you're doing something wrong. You need to get a financial journal where every time you tap Mac, that is go into your ATM debit card or you write a check or anything, you write it down. And at the end of the month or at the end of the week, look at it. See if you're buying $5 coffee every day. See if you're stopping and buying lotto tickets every day. What are you doing with your money? When you have that list, you start checking off. You start monitoring how you spend your money. And if you make $800, you need to come up with a budget where you're only spending $7, and you're putting away $100 or $50 or something every time you get paid. Last question, and this one's on Twitter. I have an opportunity to purchase a new car on credit with no interest over 5 years. I'm pretty sure I can make the monthly payment. Should I get it? I never advise people to buy cars over a long period of time. Even though in this scenario, it's zero interest, this is not the worst thing that could happen, but I prefer that you walk into that used car dealership and write a check. If you can only afford a car for $2,500, then that's what you should be buying. If you could only afford a car for $5,000, that's what you should be buying. You shouldn't be buying anything else. Why? If you take on this obligation over a 5-year period and year 2, you lose your job, or year 3, you don't have as much overtime as you used to, then you are jacked. You are putting yourself in a situation where over a 5-year period of time, if something happens to your money and it gets funny, you can't make the payment. So I always advise my clients, walk into the used car dealership with your check and buy your cars cash. Well, that's the last question I'll have today. But listen, check us out each week, and I'll see you next week. And every week, I'm going to take questions from my Twitter account, or my Facebook account, where we really delve into it. We really get into this foolishness that we've been taught for so many years and see that there's what? A better way. Talk to you later.